What up, everybody? Welcome to Fast and Tierious. We explore journeys of some of the premier HubSpot solutions partners around the world that tiered in the HubSpot ecosystem. Today, we have Adam Sand from Roofing Business Partners. You may have heard of him before. He is the homeless HubSpotter, spent 1.5 or a year and a half, 17 months to be exact, traveling around the US, landing HubSpot deals for roofing. He niched specifically on roofing, specializes today, and we may change. We'll talk to him about how he's going to get what his big plans are. Large HubSpot implementations from about 150K to 300K, with even retainers up to 20K per client. He went from zero to hero, or from zero to diamond in 22 months, officially hitting diamond August 2023. Welcome to the show, Adam. What up?
Hello. Thank you so much, Matt. It's an honor to be here. Episode 1 feels super cool. Big honor. Appreciate all the help you've given and all the knowledge you've put out in the community. I could not have done it without you. It was actually cool when I got to meet you the first time, be like, so I copied this and I learned that. And I did.
Dude, I love it. Sharing is caring, and the HubSpot ecosystem, the only way we survive is if it's healthy with lots of partners that specialize and execute for people inside. So I'm like glad to be here, glad to see it. So we're talking about, how did you get started? This is 2 years ago. Your company's in a sense 2 years ago, 22 months. What got you started initially and say, okay, I'm going to throw everything, sell? You literally may have even sold everything, and I'm going to go all in HubSpot.
It's a bit of a journey, right? So before I was a HubSpot partner, I was a roofer, right? I was a roofer, but I owned a roofing business. My best friend was a shingler, and I always kind of had money, and he kind of never did. And I was like, dude, why don't you start a business? He didn't really know how, and so we started a roofing company. And I was marketing, sales, process, technology, systems. I'd made an app and sold it when I was 22. I'd been up and down and around. He had a more steady life, and we, based on what I tried to do, we built this really successful, at least from a customer satisfaction perspective. We had grown to triple the reviews of companies 10 times our size, been around for decades. And we did it with some modern stuff, trying to create this modern experience. And that ended up getting me some notoriety in the Facebook ad community to start, because that was where I kind of started learning how to advertise. And so I got interviewed on this podcast, and then all these roofers started reaching out and saying hey man, could you show me how you did that? And I was like, yeah, sure. I was super honored to be from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, which is super North Canada. It's far, far, far away. Is it cold? And I started helping some roofers out. And then one day I was like, man, this is kind of cool. And so I started writing on my wall. I was like, maybe I could start a podcast. Man, if I could make $100,000 doing a podcast, that'd be neat. So I had this ugly wall in this house that I owned that I hated. It was this office that was owned by the girl who lived there previously, and it was stripes that were pink and cream, and I didn't like it. So I just took a Sharpie and started writing on the wall, and then I wrote episode ideas, and I'm going out and out and out, and then I wrote down names. I had roofing sales rocket and roof boost radio and all this kind of stuff, and that translated into all these ideas for lead magnets. And then the next thing you know, I had this whole wall covered in Sharpie. And so I started this thing called Roofing Business Partner, because that's what I was. I was a partner in a roofing business. And I started talking to roofers about the Facebook pixel, because nobody understood what that was in 2017. And so it started as a marketing agency where I just helped roofers through a course. And then some roofers were look, man, I got the money. I don't want to deal with this shit. Can you do it for me? And it's okay, I guess I'm an agency now. And then roofers started firing me for getting too many leads. And I was like, wait, I got a question. What the F? And he's like, well, I was like, how do you do your business? And because I built this app, I felt very comfortable. We built our own custom CRM on this old clunky ERP type thing, but it was back in 2017. And I was like, how do you do it? And they had whiteboards and folders with Post-it notes and magnets. And I was like, whoa. Give me 2 months and I'll make you this thing that I made, and I'll make it better. And you can pay me for that. And then I really liked doing that a lot better. But then that particular CRM was called Podio, and it was just this old Citrix old thing, right? It was like more like a project management tool than really a CRM. But we made it like send text messages in 2017. Like HubSpot still can't send one-to-one text messages. We had that shit back in 2017. So we had some stuff was pretty great at the time. But then the mobile app never changed. It sucked. And I was looking, and then all these roofers needed help with CRMs, and I was helping with all these different ones. And I ended up looking at HubSpot, and I was like, oh, I love this. And I thought it was really cool. And it sucked compared to where it is today. But I felt,
Adam, question in this. So you are doing Podio. Who introduced you to HubSpot? So you were essentially you had this agency, but you made this switch. I'm going to switch everything I know, and I'm going to go into another ecosystem.
Yeah. So so I really got introduced because I was in this mastermind group, and there's this guy like Dave Carroll owns Dope Marketing. The guy who owns Go High Level, he was in there when he started Go High Level. And there's all these people in there, and I was building my Podios right at the time, and it was just this little thing. But then one of the guys they're arguing about whether Go High Level, this new thing, was as good as like HubSpot. It's like, so it's like kind of like HubSpot. It was like how it was talked about. And I was like, what do you mean? What's HubSpot? So I kind of got introduced to it as part of like a sidebar conversation in this weekly mastermind that I was in. And there was like NFL players in there that started marketing. It was a big podge, but we called it You Guys. You guys are awesome. But it was just like 8 dudes that showed up and talked about online business with each other. And yeah, so I was like, what's HubSpot? And I just kept seeing it. And then I saw there was like this partner program, and they were like, they had these knowledge bases, and then there was this academy. And I was like, this is fucking crazy. Pardon my language. This is crazy. Like, nobody has this. You know what I mean? Like, I've been building stuff on like roofer CRMs, and like there was like Pipe Drive and Zoho. I like played with whatever anybody had. I played with. Like, I was just a mechanic at that time. Like, I would come in and fix your shit. But it was just, and then I decided like, no, I don't want to fix these things anymore and memorize all these. I want to make them from scratch, and I want to tell people to use this one because this one's really cool. And so then I got scared of like, I have to pay $2,300 to become a partner. Like, whoa. And then I just did it. And then I was like, this is neat. And I put like one guy on it, and he was like, this is awesome. And then I put another person on. I was like, so then me and this business partner in the roofing business, I loved this. My business partner had different visions. He was a single dad, 2 kids, like no wife. So he's like wanting to build more of a lifestyle thing. And that just caused us to get friction. And then next thing you know, it's just like, man, I like doing this, and I like going to the States and doing this. And my girlfriend at the time, she was like, you just seem to love this more. Like, and your clients love you over there. Like, you and your partner fight all the time. You guys love it. I was like, well, I got this idea. We got this one customer that we're doing in Hawaii. You could come with me. We'll drive down there with the truck. And so then you could come with me. The dog could come with me. I got to go there for 3 months because it was a big build. So we flew down there. I drove down there, flew because it was during COVID, so we couldn't fly with the dog. So we flew down to California, then drove to California, flew to Hawaii, then did that job. And while we were there, me and my business partner were disassembling our partnership. And I thought, babe, I got this idea. What if we could like drive across the country? If I said to a roofer, hey, I'm in New Hampshire, like roofers would be like, hey, Adam. I was like, I bet we could just drive around the country. We could just do this full time, right? And she was like, okay. And so she agreed to it. So then I asked her to marry me. She said yes. And I was like, great, you're stuck with me. So then we got engaged. We hopped in we flew back to California.
Adam,
started driving.
Keep going. Question: what year are we in now? What year are we in?
This would be 2020. Like, this would be the year that we're switching from 2021 to 2022. So this would be 2022 March that we flew back to California.
And then when did you sign your partner agreement at this point? Like, when did you become a HubSpot partner?
I think when I became a HubSpot partner, it would have been like 6 months before that. But then I didn't sell my first deal until August of 2021.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's a cool story, is sometimes you'll become a partner and there's this period of learning HubSpot and starting to get the groove. You found the groove.
Yeah, because I just wanted to play with it, but I knew that it was like, when I looked at it, I was like, this is the thing. Like this, like doing, like, I just saw the vision. It was same thing when I saw Super. I was like, that's the thing. Like, that's what we need. I was like, what do we got to do? Right? Because I could just see it. And so I saw the HubSpot was the thing. But I was like, but I got to figure this out before I can sell it to somebody. Like, I don't know what I'm doing with it. I just know that it's the thing. And so I played around with it in our roofing company, right? So I basically became a partner so that I could sell it to ourselves, which I didn't get the credit for it anyway, because I already signed up for a trial like 4 months ago. It took me like 6 months to make the decision. So I didn't get credit for selling my own company, HubSpot. But then, and my partner forever blamed me thinking, oh, you're just doing this so you get credit. I'm like, dude, there's the one account I don't get credit for. But, but neither here nor there. And so I was just like, so yeah, she agreed to marry me, and we jumped on a plane, flew back, and we just started telling roofers that we were driving around the country, and we just plotted out on the map. We said, this is where we're going. And like, people were like, how long till you get to my state? And we were like sleeping in the car some days, because it was just easier to like change off, and you'd get to the hotel at like
RV.
9.
You're just in a car.
That was a Yukon. Like, it was a big SUV, but I mean, still, it was a 150-pound dog and a 300-pound me. but like, so we're just like, but like some days you would travel and you're like, we got to get from this state to this state. But it's like, you get to this city, you arrive in the city at 9, but you can't check into the hotel till 2. So you're like, well, let's just pull over on the side of the road, sleep for 5 hours, and then we'll get to the hotel at 1. And then we can like crash for 2 hours and get ready, and we'll be at the roofing company the next day. And we just sold HubSpots, and then we just chart a path on the map. We're like, okay, well, we got to go to New York first. So if we sell him in June, then we just got to find somebody in like South Carolina in like May. So we found somebody. Basically, our production calendar was how long it took to drive between states. And we had to like beeline down to Texas one time, then back up to Minnesota, and then like back over to Sandpoint, Idaho, and then back down to, where was it? Oh gosh, we went. Oh, I got all the Google pins on the Google Maps or whatever, and it's the timeline. Yeah, it was a trip. But we got engaged on the road, married on the road, got pregnant on the road. Thankfully, we're not having a baby in the back of the Yukon.
So this is, you're traveling around for a year and a half, for 17 months.
Yeah, it was like 17 months, and then I started flying back and forth from Hawaii, where we live now.
And, okay, so, so now, where are you at now? So like revenue wise and employees, as we talk about, I mean, you hit Diamond in August. You have a unique challenge because you were driving around, but like, where are you at now? And then, what are some of the initial challenges you faced? Like,
so that's a really good question. And, so kind of as we went, we kind of had to pick up employees along the way. And we really recognized, like, I was having like panic attacks. And we recognized it as kind of like break points, right? Like, what are you doing? Who's going to help? How do you do it? Who's going to help? You got to go through like startup process creation, core leadership, automated systems. You kind of build through this process. And so we recognized we kind of needed to mirror our customer acquisition funnel with our talent acquisition funnel. And so it was really about getting people. It started with one dude on Upwork, and then another guy on Upwork. And then we started like the friends and family play, we get like, oh yeah, you know me, like, come work for us. And it was all remote because we were doing this from the passenger seat of a truck on the road using an obscene amount of Wi-Fi credits on my Yukon's little 4G thing. But it was really about getting people and understanding that, like, we really had to figure out, okay, like, so we're going to do this full time. It's like, what's our mission? Right? What's our vision? What's our core values? Like, how can we make it so that our company will take care of these courageous founders who decided to do this out of a truck, but also be a vehicle, no pun intended, but be a vehicle for our people to accomplish their personal, professional, financial goals for joining us on this crazy thing where it's like, yeah, your boss, we sleep in the extended stay. We're on the road. So we're at a different time zone every couple of days or every week or every couple of weeks. But, believe us, this is going to be huge someday, right? Like, we had to get them. And now we're like 16 employees. We're about to start a big ramp, but we're 16 employees. We should cross 4 million this year.
Congrats.
I mean, it should be way higher. It should be way higher. It's annoying.
So you're at 16, gonna break 4 million at Diamond. You talk about some of these key milestones. What is the in growing the business? What were the 2 key turning points for you? Because you had mentioned earlier, and I didn't, just when we were getting ready for this, you said, Matt, I didn't even know tiering was really a thing. Like I never looked at it. So some people are like maniacal. They're like looking for it. It just happened for you. What were the milestones in between that? Okay, this thing's humming.
So I think the biggest thing for the tiering was that because we focus on big builds, everything is enterprise. Like, so it's like we're always doing enterprise suites. So it's like, so the tiering comes really quick because, you know, for our thing, it was like, I really looked at like Elon Musk, how he grew Tesla, right? Starts with the Roadster, super high price, you know, doesn't even work that well. It's kind of clunky, but it's for people who believe in the future and want something cool and different. And the marginal utility of money in their bank account is having this diminishing rate of return on their happiness. They don't need another car or another motorcycle, or like they just want to like see their business run the way they always envisioned in their head, and they're willing to throw a briefcase of cash at it if someone's willing to come in and make it their problem. And that's what we did. We made like one of our core values is thoughts into reality, right? It's like the most powerful creature in the world is God. He thinks, it exists. How close can we get to that, where the owner thinks and it exists? And so that was the biggest first one, was just like recognizing that the gap in the market was that nobody was willing to make their problems our problem and just take on like the dream outcome and charge the right money for it. You know what I mean? Everybody has this diminishing price, or this vicious cycle of price where they just try to do a little bit more for a little bit less and a little bit more for a little bit less. And we're just like, we're going to do a hell of a lot more for a whole lot more. And then it was like, people were like, that's different. You know what I mean?
So I want to sit in this for a second, because I think, because I've talked to hundreds of HubSpot solutions partners over the last 8 months. And
I've talked to 9, so I have no idea if what I'm saying is going to be laughed at by the community. Terrified that I'm going to get ripped apart on LinkedIn next month.
I think the reality is there's different room for different players, and I'll say this is when there's a niche, and you say, and being, how do you come in at often people struggle with doing what you just did. So I think there's a lot of value in you telling that story and sitting in that. And it often reflects a specific expertise in a specific industry where no one knows this as well as someone like you. And you can come in and say, hey, I'll charge a high price on a specific platform. And it takes a lot of courage to go all in on one niche and all in one ecosystem. I think both those combined make something powerful. And when you separate one or the other, it gets more difficult to have a value proposition. So I think it's really cool that you did that. And I think it shows 22 months to diamond and not even trying. You're just building a business on HubSpot and roofing, right?
Yeah, it was really trying to focus on being a consulting company that uses HubSpot as the infrastructure to make the advice that we give permanent, so we get adoption. And that was where it like eventually went to, okay, how do we make the Model S, right? And Super played a role in that, and like other things like getting the people. And the other big milestone was like retention. Really understanding that, like, it was such a shock for me. I remember we built a HubSpot and it was like, hey, is there like, there came in, like, we would do these annual trips where we would come out and update, right? And it was like, hey, could you like just charge us monthly and like we could fix, like you could just fix stuff as we go rather than having like clean up the old data. And I was like, wait a minute, you're telling me that like I made it, you're not necessarily happy with it as a done thing, and you'd be willing to pay me money to fix it? Like you actually don't think it's like my fault? You just, they're like, yeah, no, business is growing, so we like need some new stuff. And we were just wondering if we could do it like every month rather than like every year. And I was like, sure. You like, how much is that? $2,500 a month. Sure. Okay. And I was like, that was it.
I meant 5,000 a month.
Yeah. Well, so then that's the thing we learned, because then it was like we would do tickets, and we learned like customers don't know what to ask for. And I went look. So I was like, hey, I need to hire a person. I was like, hey, so my customers are going to send tickets. We're going to make this thing like Service Hub, and they're going to send tickets through this like form, and then you're going to make the tickets go away, and that way they don't get mad at me. And then they're like, great. And like 6 months later, they're like, can you look at our portal? Like, there's some stuff in there. We're like, it's not really working for us. And I was like, what's all this shit? And they're like, no, you built that. And I'm like, really? Do you hear those? I was like, really? And they're like, I was like, that's so dumb. Why is it built like that? And I realized we never stopped to ask why. Like, we never said, like, why do you want that? So I was like, okay, I got an idea. Pay me $1,000 more a month, and I'm going to pay somebody to ask you why every time you send a ticket. Not like, why do you want to do that? Because I was scared. I was like, I thought it would sound like, why do you want to do that? It was more like, why would you like to do that? So I was like, pay me $1,000 more. I'll pay someone to basically sit and ask why, so that we can figure out like why you want to do that thing. And if it sounds funny, they'll come talk to me. Okay. And then I heard about this thing called RevOps, and I thought that was really cool. And so then when I went to Hawaii and did that 3-month project, I was like, look, I got this really good idea. It's called RevOps for roofing. And I was like, I read all this about RevOps. Everybody's talking about it. And I know you're not SaaS, and I know you do monthly recurring revenue, and I know you sell a roof the last 20 years, but I think we can make it work for roofing. So we're going to focus on decreasing silos. We're going to do 3 30-minute meetings a week, a 1-hour meeting every week. We're going to do this. We're going to have these points. We're going to do this stuff. We're going to fix, and we're going to commit to like, how do we make the business 1% better in these departments all the time, consistently, forever. And it's twice the money you were paying me last time, and it's more if you want more time or more stuff. And they're like, deal. I was like, okay. And so we started selling that to everybody. So the biggest impact for me was like recognize that a customer would pay you to build something and then also pay you to fix it.
Yeah, and I think there's a point here is, and this sounds weird, the more you charge and the larger the spend is, the more likely they are to pay you to fix it when it doesn't work. And the reality is growth begets complexity. And they know that what you built is what they asked for, but it's no longer what they need. And so there's this like ever evolving maintenance. And my customer
put it to me like this. He was like, well, here's the thing, Adam. We want to pay a little bit more, because customers started saying, how much more can we pay you? And I'm like, am I in real life? But he was like, Adam, listen, this is the thing. Because these guys have built bigger businesses than I have, right? So they understand business to a different degree than I. So I learn from my customers in a way that I also, like, I teach them lots of stuff. And they treat me so well, with so much respect. I'm so grateful for them. And they treat me like a genius, and I act like I'm a genius. But I learn a lot from them too. And they're like, well, here's the thing, Adam. Like, this system's running a business that's doing $46 million a year. $46 million a year, if you divide that by 220 working days, divided by 8 hours a day, it's $10,000 an hour. If that thing's printing $10,000 out of a printing machine an hour. If it breaks for 2 hours, it costs me $20,000. If it costs $20,000 for the month, I want to have you answer the phone like that. I was like, okay. Sure. Right?
I feel like that right there should just be what you just did should be the motivation speak. Everybody like on ring, like, oh, you can play it before you get on a call. Every sales call, you just play that right there.
Yeah, so the customers just taught me the real value of what I was doing. Like, I remember one of our customers, he's like a Stanford guy. They, MBA, business titan doing 5,000 unit buildings in Washington, decided he wanted a slower pace. So he went and decided to move to a tropical kind of climate in South Carolina. He's like, then he was looking around for another business he wanted to do and saw a roof. He's like, 40% gross profit margin. Every human being lives underneath one, and they have to buy it. And occasionally storms come, destroy like thousands of them at a time. Oh man, how do we do roofing? And then he asked, who's the guy in the roofing? And they just like shows up and like tells us what to do. And my name came up. So I flew out there, and he's like, Adam, I don't think you know why we bought. And so he pulls out a whiteboard and explains, this would increase the multiple of our business. If we get one more multiple on this, the $220,000 we paid you on a $20 million company that's going to get $2 million net profit. If we get 5x instead of 4x on our multiple, well, now you just made it to $2 million. If we have to pay you $20,000, like all of a sudden I was like, oh. So not only am I getting paid to make sure it doesn't break, I'm getting paid to make sure that you have something that you can increase your multiple with, because now you have a business operating system that gives you a single source of truth, and he calls it playing to one sheet of music. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize I was selling that too. So I was like, like they teach me as much as I teach them.
I think that's beautiful, the way you put that together. And I'd imagine it's not, you have immense amount of industry experience. It's not just all in HubSpot. I'd imagine like you have to understand the intricacies of like what it is out to be in the field, and how like what you need to report on, and how you're doing insurance claims. And it's more than just HubSpot, although it is the center. I think I just call that out as you think through that problem set. As we come to the, I feel like you have lots of stories, and I feel like a lot of partners are going to be.
I'm sorry, I tell a lot.
No, I think people are going to be calling you, ask you for a lot of advice. This is awesome. For what's next is okay, you've gone through this journey of, you've now essentially built two different businesses, one in the roofing specific where you're doing a service business that's a bit more transactional, one where you're doing larger builds that's less transactional, larger with retainers. What is something specific to HubSpot ecosystem that you never do again? What's something you would never do again that you would want to tell other partners?
I would say it's like a combination of like better understanding of who your ideal like this is so business 101, like it's gonna be annoying for people to hear, but like, gosh, if I just did that, like, I guess, okay, ideal customer avatar, first thing, like if the company has 70% of their people don't love technology or aren't interested in seeing how technology can make their lives better, change management is going to make you want to jump out a fucking window. Like, just, you have to make sure that not only you're the owner, but the employees are interested in what this is, or you are basically you're coming in to fight a fight that you can't win because you're the evil bad guy, and people are going to just plant flags on I don't want to do it island, and you're done. And then you're the asshole for not being able to like do this, convince them of this. So that's one. And I'm sorry for destroying your available play for kids and Christians. I'm Christian myself, but I have a foul mouth, and I apologize. You can get the explicit tag on your podcast on episode 1. I'm trying my best. Here, but I'm excited.
Well, that's like a follow-up question. This is never again. So I hear that, and that's born from scar tissue and thus wisdom. How do you know if a customer has employees? Because you're talking to the owner, they see the vision, they're very excited about it, and they want to do this transform it. They want to transform their business, and they see it. How do you know that the employees?
Tactical. So in the discovery phases, when we're looking at a deal, I just talk to the owner point blank, and I say, look, you're excited by this, and that's great. So you have 3 types of employees in your business. Said, I want to break them into these 3 types. 1, I am excited by technology and I'm interested to see how it can make my work life better. 2, I understand the technology is necessary and I will work with it to make my life better. And 3, I hate technology and it does not make my life better. And I just say, of all your employees, let's list them out. Jimmy, Billy, Danny, Mary, Sammy, Suey. And it's like 1, 2, or 3. And if 50% or more are not in camp 1, we don't do the deal. If 70% are not in camp 1 or 2, we don't do the deal. So if there's any more than 30% in camp 3, we don't do the deal because it's a recipe for disaster. It has to be 50% plus 1, the owner, so that they can outrank the 30. And the 70% means that you're going to have a good pilot team, that they're essentially going to be able to carry the load when the 30%, the slow adopters and no adopters, those guys, when they plant their flag and I don't want to do it island and quit in the middle of the change management and the onboarding and the go live and all that, they'll carry the flag until we get some new people in there. But if you don't have that infrastructure there, you're done. The second way that we make sure that we don't lose them is this thing we call solution extraction. And it's like 20 questions that we do in a HubSpot form that we send to everybody the minute we sign the deal. And it's like, what's an example of how software has let you down in the past? How did, if you could wave a magic wand and fix one thing about your CRM today, what would it be? What is your favorite tool and why? What's an example of how what someone else does in the system that makes your day worse? Like, just like 20 questions like that, because then when we go to go live, it's like, hey, Mary, remember that thing that you don't like that Tommy does? Well, now Tommy's not going to do that anymore, but I need you to check this box and click this button, because that's going to make it so Billy doesn't have to deal with this other thing. But now, so you can start we do like this little meandering of conversations that gets everybody on board, because they see because our whole thing is make work more rewarding through engineering better customer experiences. I know what the owner wants. He wants to get rich. It's the employees. If I can make their work more rewarding and engineer a better customer experience, owner's going to get what he wants. But the only way he's going to get what he wants is if the engineered experience for the customer is better, and it has to be programmatic infrastructure. And the work that the people do has to be more rewarding. It has to be more fun, more yeses, more positivity, less uncertainty, less sleepless nights, less times they cause the screw up that, risks the company. That has to go away. So it's like, that's the solution extraction, and that are the 2 biggest things that I would never not do those things again. I would never skip that step again. The only caveat to that, the only thing that is worse is the one customer that we ever fired, and we actually said, keep the money, keep the build. We're going to walk away. We're not going to serve you anymore. Like, go find another HubSpot partner. There's only one time we did that. And that was when I learned that founder-led sales was bullshit, and I got to stop doing it. And I officially am stopping that November 1st, because this is very recent. But I sold a customer who HubSpot wanted to get the deal in June. They were like, really, like, customers did the sign up for a free ebook, and then they're like, oh, this guy mentioned you, so you're the partner of record, but like, yeah, we're gonna work through this. They closed their deal in June. We signed it. We're like, okay, we can't build you until December because we have all this backlog and I got a baby on the way. But then conversation. Next thing you know, I'm like all up in this business, and we're looking at different connected tools, and my team's totally been now like sidetracked or outside. Like, I'm now going around my team essentially running the project because I sold it. Now I'm running the project. Now I'm talking to customer connected solutions. We're having calls on Facebook Messenger. And it's just like, I will never sidestep or take the power away from my team ever again. It's like, when you elevate and put a team in place, do not take the power away from them, because you will ruin the experience for the customer. You will ruin the experience for your team. And just like, get the hell out of the way and focus on the four corners of being a CEO. And none of those is building the HubSpot for the customer.
I love that. I've just heard, I've heard two things about, I said two things. I said, what was that one thing? And you're like, man, I got two things. I'm never going to do it again. Number one is, it's really tactical. It's like, hey, I'm never going to skip solution extracting. I've never heard that word that way before. We did something in my past life called a revenue engine diagnostic. It's much of the same. But I like how focused yours is on the individuals and the questions it asks versus the system design, where people go very quickly. And then number two is, it is just at some point, and you were putting this, is getting out of founder-led sales is probably the most powerful thing and the scariest thing that you can do in your business as you transform from one partner type to another, is getting out of founder-led sales. And it often decreases your close rate, and it's a scary thing, but it will be powerful for your business to thrive. What is one thing you wish you did earlier?
Well, besides figuring out the customers who pay you to fix their stuff, I would say that what I'm doing right now, which is we have been we get this like nickname in the industry that I saw as positive. It was like luxury of the rich, fantasy purchase, because we were the model, we were the Tesla Roadster for a while, and then we went to Tesla Model S, but it was still a luxury car for luxury people. It was just more accessible than like the elite. You know what I mean? It was like, now we weren't helping people, and really I cut my teeth in this business. Like, when our roofing business partner was a Facebook ad course, you know what I mean? And a podcast. I built it off of helping the little guy. You know what I mean? And my motto used to be, I'll help you with your level 1 and 2 problems for free, so you can afford to come to me for your level 3 and 4 problems. Now I'm like solving level 9 problems. And so what I am excited for next, is this airing after November 1st?
I'm gonna say yes.
There's a launch coming on. Okay. Yeah. So basically on November 1st, we have this big launch that we're doing, which is essentially we're taking, because we pay for so many Zapier runs for our customers, we buy them in 100,000 unit blocks. So if we use 601,000 Zap actions, the 99,000 left over just go to waste. And so we recognize that like HubSpot Free was limited in its abilities because it didn't have workflow automation. So we felt like the limiting belief that we had was, I can't get a roofer on HubSpot until they're at X revenue, because the roofing CRMs, which are cheaper, have all these features and automation stuff built in. And so we can't, between the cost of developing it and the cost of the subscription to get the features, we can't give this to them. But when Supered came out, we could deploy some stuff in there pretty instantly. And with all the workflow actions we have left over, by nature of what we've built as a company, it looks a lot like Henry Ford's third time trying to run Ford, which was that he had all these automakers that were burning down. There's like 2,800 automakers, half of them burned down because of sawdust catching fire. And he went and took built a business saying, hey, I'll haul away your sawdust for free. And he took that sawdust and he crushed it into these fire starters, and he sold it because back then everything was fire to heat your home, cook your food, sanitize water, whatever. And he sold it. And that money was the capital that he used to pay the employees double, that whole story about how he could pay the employees double and then they could buy the cars, or starting the assembly line. He wouldn't have been able to do that without the capital. And that Ford fire starter became Kingsford Coal, which you can go buy at the grocery store today. It's a 100-year-old company, and it financed Ford. And I thought of that, and I saw the Hormozy book launch, and I seen like Neil Patel at HubSpot Inbound talking about the free tools, and I thought, why can't we do a free CRM? Why can't we? And I thought, we have so many Zap actions left over. We could automate the whole thing for an under $2 million roofing company. We could automate the whole thing with our Zap actions. We could deploy most of it with Supered very quickly to duplicate the Zap workflows. And we could do a free CRM for roofers. And then it got me thinking, I was like, well, then that's a big gap from 2 million to like 20 million. Like, that's a big, we're not going to be able to serve them for a long time. But then we're like, no, let's look at Supered even deeper. And so by using the white label that you guys offered, we created our own mission control. And then we developed, essentially, this is all launching on November 1st, but a way to get, at this point, my team needs more opportunities for pattern recognition, because big companies have very, very different problems. From 3 to 8 million, I can grow a roofing company from 3 to 8 million like baking a cake. You know what I mean? It's just scientific. And, but my team can't. They need more at-bats. They need more reps to gain the pattern recognition to do it. And that will serve them in our bigger vertical. And so we're kind of putting a pause on selling big ones. And we're going to go all in on $3 to $8 million roofing companies on a super deployed, a lot of DIY done for you, tech-enabled, like this whole, you and I went through this a little bit before, but essentially trying to create a product that we can sell to the mid-market of $3 to $8 million roofers, and we're going to go for a high-volume thing. So we're going away from the luxury of the rich, we're going to go from Model S to the Model Y, and we're going to figure out what it takes to sell 129 partners in a year, which is something we are not even close to today. We're like 12 to 15. So we're going to try and sell 129 HubSpots in 1 year to the $3 to $8 million market using Supered, and we're going to have a free one for roofers under 2 million just to be nice.
Everybody knows this is the first time I'm hearing about this in this way, so I'm pretty excited about this too. This sounds incredible. My next question, usually I like to ask is, I say usually, this is episode 1, but I would transition into what's the big bet you're making for the future? And if I heard this right, it is you're going to use this to train your team as well, so you can then even go up and solve those problem 9, like these level 9 problems better with the team. But you're going after the mid-market. You're going to try to unlock the 3 to 8 million with using leftover Zaps and like your sawdust.
Yeah.
And using Supered, you're going to see if you can do 129 partners. And you divide that by 12, and you're doing 10 plus partners a month, deployments a month in roofing.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's the big bet.
That's the big bet, because I think that'll get us to elite, and I think so. In the long-term play is that we're going to get back into marketing services. So we're going to I'm going to dust off my marketing gloves and get back into that, because we haven't done a marketing service in years, 2019. So we're going to get back into marketing services, and then we recognize that those companies, when they get past 3 to 8 million, they're either going to get bought by our big companies, they're going to partner with our big companies, or they're going to get bought by private equity. And we have a whole bunch of ideas around that, but that's phase 2, phase 3, and phase 3.5. But we got some good, that's the thing that I'm building for 2025. I'm going to have to build the base first.
I am excited, Adam. My question, what's your, when are you back on this podcast talking to me as Roofing Business Partners Elite Edition? What's the date?
When will we be elite?
Yeah, what's the date?
Oh, I don't know, man. I didn't even know when we got platinum. I had to find it. We had to work together to find that. I mean, is 12 months, is that crazy? I don't know. Is 1 tier a year? Is that like a motto? 1 tier a year?
I like it, 1 tier a year. I mean, traditionally, it's pretty darn hard to do tiering. Elite is a gargantuan. It's a very difficult feat to do.
Yeah, because you gotta convert some people off of Salesforce or something like that. And I'm just like, why not just keep them from going to Salesforce to begin with?
Well, you heard it here. I heard it in 12 months or less. Adam would be back here having the elite conversation. I heard it here.
Tier a year. I like the sound of it.
Tier a year.
Let's do it that way.
Well, Adam, I appreciate your time. I think there's been lots. You've been dishing out a lot of knowledge. I think this is going to be helpful for anybody that listens to it. Thank you for sharing how you've tiered in 22 months from a brand new HubSpot partner all the way to a diamond partner, and how you're thinking about your go-to-market, and it shifts as you see the marketplace shift and your customer base has to shift in order to grow. I think this is awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Hey man, pleasure to be here. This is exciting. I feel honored. It's super neat because again, this is like, I'm just some dude that just wanted to not be in Canada freezing my ass off.
Well, I'm going to take it a tier a year. Adam Sand, Roofing Business Partners. Appreciate you. Thank you, sir.
Okay, man. Take care.
Stay awesome. Keep doing it big.
Yeah.
Adios.